Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, this is Kenya Revolutionary. Welcoming you to another session. I might be here for an hour less. I don't know, depending on things. It's Saturday morning, wherever I am. I hope you're doing well, wherever you are, whether you're in Africa, Asia, Europe, Middle East, Australia, New Zealand, Antarctica. Karibu sana. Today, we're going to look at some things. We are going to basically review some interviews and some discussions that were had this past week by some politicians from both Kenya Kwanza and Azimio as they made their case. Their shameless arguments made to justify this handshake between Raila and Ruto. Some of these arguments were just embarrassing, downright embarrassing. I mean, for somebody who would claim that is representing the people, it was. I'll let you hear it. But first, we have this gentleman who was in Spice FM. His name is, if I can get it right, Mr. Kennedy Ondiek was in Spice FM earlier this week, sorry. And he had some very, very interesting perspective on why Raila lost in Nyanza province. I've always argued this. You know, I know this, most Azimio folks, especially from Nyanza province, they kind of skirt around this issue. They claim that, you know, Raila had overwhelming support from Nyanza province, which he did. He did have support, yes, but there was a level of voter apathy, especially after 2017, the first handshake with the Uhuru and Raila. It kind of turned off people this time. Because remember, we got into this handshake after Raila Odinga, we swore him in, if you remember, in Uhuru Park, Uhuru Park of all the places. Then the atrocities had happened in Kisumu, in Nyanza province, after Ruto, who was in Kenyatta's government too, but Kenyatta ordering them killings of a lot of Luos in Nyanza province in 2017. And most people felt that they were betrayed once Raila Odinga agreed to enter into this handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta after all that support that he got. So when come 2022, my argument was the narrative that Ruto painted Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta to be this dynasty, it actually resonated with a lot of people. I'm not saying it resonated with a lot of people in Nyanza province, but most people in Nyanza province, they are former supporters of Raila Odinga. Some of them, a good chunk of number of them, felt like Raila had left them kwamata, turned his back on them, and they were not enthusiastic about voting for him again in 2022. And some of them even turned into UDA and other, independents. They voted for the independents. So that can play a part as to why Raila lost. It's not as simple as, Rift Valley didn't vote for him and Mount Kenya didn't vote for him. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, please like the video. That's the first of the day. You know how it goes. Like the video. Let's get to the issue. Let's get to the video without wasting any time. Let's listen to this gentleman, Mr. Kennedy Ondiek, as he explains to the people in Spice FM about this, what happened. All right. So let's get to the video. That's going to be the first video that we are going to look at. All right. Let's get it rolling. Here it is. All right. There you go. I'm playing this video for education purposes only. So Spice FM, don't come for me.
With you this time in South Nyanza region, we're seeing a lot of political movement now. Yes. With the announcement by Right Honorable Raila Odinga that he's seeking the AUC chairmanship position. Now there's the talk of, all right, so is he leaving? Is he not? He keeps saying, you know what, Addis Ababa is just here. I still have my political connections here. I'll retain my political influence on the ground. Is the ground saying the same?
Yeah, personally, I would look at it in different ways. In fact, two different ways. Number one, whether Raila is honest to his genuine supporters, or whether he's not just honest to himself. Because first, he's aware that the AUC job, if he gets it, as we pray that he gets it, does not allow him to participate in politics in any country or to participate in any political activity in any country, Kenya included, of the countries which are in Africa. At the same time, he's also aware that when he is not allowed to participate in such political activities, then he will not be the party leader of ODM, neither will he remain the coalition leader of Azimio. So by declaring in public that I am still around and I will be around, that job notwithstanding, is in itself, I believe, is dishonest. But as a country, we need to look at the position that Raila is looking for. It is not for himself. Because there's not much gain that he will personally get apart from the little salary and maybe the job description or maybe improving his CV. But Kenya as a country has a lot to gain if Raila becomes the chairman of AUC. And if that is a position, because he competed with William Ruto as two equals with a little margin of 200,000 votes. If Kenyans are to decide that now William Ruto is the president, who is the next Kenyan available for any serious job, then it will only be Raila. And if you look at the Pan-African nature of Raila Odinga, the spirit of Ubuntu lives properly in him. He has struggled for the African unity. He has struggled. He has also served in African Union as the High Commissioner for High.
Now, very quickly before I let him finish, he aptly mentioned that Raila was being dishonest with his followers. And I've said this in my previous video. If Raila gets this job of AUC, there's no way he's going to be actively pursuing political positions or being active politically in Kenya, because that AU seat is a seat that you represent the whole Africa, basically. So there's no way you can come back to Kenya and be active, especially running against Ruto, who is the very person who helped you become the AUC chairperson. Again, for those of you who are ignorant of what this means, there's no way Raila Odinga can run against Ruto in 2027 once he gets this AUC chair position, okay? There's no way. That's why I maintain that this pact by Ruto, the handshake that happened between Raila and Ruto, was to help not only Raila to get the chair, of course, but the pact was, part of the deal was, Ruto is going to win 2027. Raila is not going to oppose Ruto come 2027. Okay? Again, he cannot tell you support us this because he wants to keep you tethered for his followers, okay? So you can keep on supporting him. But the truth is, once Raila, if he gets that position in 2027, the position of AUC chairperson, he cannot run against Ruto because Ruto is actually vouching for him to become that person, to get that chair. And the deal is, once he gets that chair, he will not run against Ruto in 2027. Get that understood. I know most people, most of Raila followers do not understand that the hosting country, if you're running for that AUC chair, the hosting country has to vouch for you. The hosting country is Kenya. Raila is from Kenya, of course. Ruto is the president. Ruto is the #1 person who is vouching for him. And if he's doing that, it just doesn't make sense for Raila to come back in 2027 and say, I'm running against you for the presidential position. So yes, this man is right. The second thing that I want to mention is that maybe he mentions that Raila has been a Pan-Africanist with this spirit of Ubuntu. That's utter nonsense, rubbish, absolutely hogwash. Okay, Raila never fought for Africa. No. That's just nonsense. Yes, he's a big figure in Kenya, but there's nothing Pan-Africanist about Raila Odinga. Raila has been a businessman. He has always caused all this chaos within Kenya to benefit him and his businesses and his family businesses. There's nothing Pan-Africanist about Raila Odinga. We just like to elevate this man for things that, he doesn't deserve, okay? So let's cut that short right there. All right, let's go on with a video. Sorry.
High Commissioner for Infrastructure. So he is well placed. And being that he has experience of diplomacy, he has done a lot. He has played a big role in Africa, shaping different regions. So he is qualified as per that. I don't know whether the issues which were being raised as to degree or masters are there, here, they are not. Personally, I would wish to say that Raila Odinga is supposed to work hard towards getting this position because it's the best option that he has, especially in his exit in politics. You know, after you have danced so long, you might want to leave the stage, but the moment at which you leave, sometimes there might be a little fracas somewhere to allow you leave. You may pretend you are going to look at what is happening there, then you exit the stage. I think it is the best time for Raila to exit. But when he exits, now the question comes in our region, because we have been so much in some kind of politics, which is more of patronage. Raila has become political leader of our region for so long, and we took it over from his father. But I'm personally convinced that he has done his best, and that his best has been seen in terms of the reforms he has brought in this country and what he has done to our region. Now, come to our region, Nyanza region. I would not be specific on South Nyanza because this is something that affects Nyanza region, and in fact, it affects zones which were ODM zones. Exit of Raila will really destabilize politics because, number one, there are individuals who cannot survive in politics without Raila's name. They will not. I can tell you. And if it was not that this is not a public forum where I'm not supposed to quote names when they are not here to defend themselves, I would have quoted names. There are individuals who are not able to win anything in our region, and they are sitting in those positions simply because Raila said. And that if Raila is not there to say anything, if Raila is put to silence by sitting in Addis Ababa and not allowed to talk, they are not going to be anybody. There are people who are not anybody if you take away Raila and you take away ODM from them, and you know them. So we cannot pretend that it will be business as
really
usual.
True?
It is very true.
Really,
it is very
because
true.
we hear this often, but also many times we see where we hear that even in Nyanza, people say, okay, Raila, we guarantee we are going to vote for you as president. But the local politics leave the local politics to us. And we've heard that very many times. City, right?
Yes, we have.
We even see people who are elected
examples
against that wave, that is the supposed Raila support. And then somebody else who emerges and they get elected and get re-elected.
It is accidental. In fact, it will be a single accidental case or 2-3 cases. But overall, generally.
No, but how is it? You're saying the process of voting when somebody, say, for instance, stands as an independent candidate or a different political party, and they're elected twice on that particular party ticket without ODM, and you're saying it's accidental. How is it accidental?
Because you know, there are many vehicles on the road. They reach their destinations, but when one doesn't reach it, becomes an accident. Let me tell you, in Nyanza, it has been politics of Raila wants this person. And if Raila wants good thing for our region, he should just say, I have done my part to you, whether good or bad. I beg. Like he sang that Jamaican farewell song. It's the best time to sing that song now, so that our region can be free from his. Not that we don't want him, we really respect and love him. But you see, the love we have had has disenfranchised many people. And that is the truth. And if such truth were to be said, then I would secretly tell you to invite me in studio with somebody here. I will tell you secretly to invite me in studio with one, or I will give you 10 names. You take from one of them. You pick one of them, and then you bring them to studio. One of them. Then I'll now put him to task because he will be here to defend himself. You will see the truth coming out. Because first, there are members of parliament, for example, who cannot even speak in English in this parliament. I'm telling you the truth. And they were not actually nominated. You see, there's a process of nomination.
I think he basically wants to say that they are members of parliament. This has been going on for a while now, and it goes not only on Azimio or ODM side. ODM is the main party in Nyanza province. So he's basically saying that Raila, the process of nomination or choosing these representatives is not democratic, because Raila decides who is nominated. And some of these nominated MPs are not qualified for this job. Some of them can barely speak English. That's what he's saying. So, yes.
Which actually determines who carries the flag of the party. And this is a person who claims to have been nominated and cannot speak in English. How did people nominate him? And if you look at how nomination was done,
but on the, when people campaign in the region you come from, which is where I also come from, do they campaign in English?
Yeah, but how people know the language used in Parliament?
Do they campaign in English?
They campaign in mother tongue.
So when people vote for them,
yes,
what do they vote for?
You see, let me tell you, I don't know why we are becoming theoretical when practice is there. I don't know. Basically,
you come from the same
let me
region
tell you, my brother. If you come from the same region I come from, you know what has been happening, and that's what.
He wasn't answering the question. CT was. It was easy to dismiss CT's point there. CT is asking when people campaign in Nyanza province, did they campaign in English? And what this gentleman should have said, it was simply, hey, they campaign in mother tongue, but when they go to the National Assembly or the legislative body as a whole, they should be speaking in a national language. That's what he says. And the point that he was initially making was that these guys cannot even speak in fluent English or any other Swahili for that matter. They can only speak the Luo, which is fine. You can speak in the Luo, whatever the case is. But the point he's making is these people are not educated or qualified to take those positions that they got nominated for. Okay, that's the point he was making. So CT asking if they were nominated or if they could speak or campaign in their mother tongue or whatever language they were using. I don't know. It was an easy question to dismiss, but Ondiek was not. I don't know. I don't think he answered it appropriately. But
I live longer in that region than you, so I actually know more about the region than you do.
Yes.
So when I ask the question, you know exactly what I'm asking. So answer it.
I am saying people campaign in mother tongue.
Yes.
Yes. But do you think our people in the region don't know that in Parliament they don't speak in mother tongue?
Oh, they know full well.
Yes. So how finally does someone who cannot speak in mother tongue end up being nominated? And you know that it's nominated using some tablet, for example, where you point and you know the number, you don't know the number of votes that person got. As a new leadership want audit of election, or last year's election, 2022 election. Yet they have also not given us audit of the ODM nomination. How somebody became a member of.
Again, the point that Ondiek is making to CT, which CT, I know CT is being a journalist, so he's trying to provoke his thoughts, not provoke him as far as for him to get angry, but just to provoke an answer. The point Ondiek is making is that these people who are nominated are not qualified for those positions. Okay, it's not about whether they can speak English or not. The point is these guys are not. The process in which these guys are nominated is undemocratic. Okay, you can't just nominate anybody because it's your relative or whatever the case is. But let's go continue.
Parliament. It is official that I should not mention names, but I can tell you instances of some persons who people are just told Nani atakua.
Let me ask you the question: how different is it from, say, any region in this country where there is a particular leader who is considered to be the kingpin, as we call them? How different is it?
These regions have had different kingpins. These regions have had different leaders. True. So how differently they have been doing their things must be actually different from what has been happening in our region.
You know, the point I'm making is that when you have a leader who is accepted as the leader in any region, they have certain powers. And some of those powers are the same powers of nomination. They more or less decide, and you will be told that on this particular one, we are voting party, not, they don't even think individual.
Voting party comes at.
The premise of that question is flawed. He's saying that if some people are considered kingpins of a region, so them being nominated automatically, it's just the same as, nominating somebody who is popularly accepted. And again, it comes back to the democratic nature of how we would like to do things, okay? We can't, in fact, most cases, these people who are nominated are actually not the so-called kingpins that CT is trying to portray that. That's why I'm saying the premise of the question is actually flawed, okay? Wrong, okay? These people usually are not as popular as he would like us to believe. They're people who are handpicked by Raila Odinga, who is, you might say, kingpin, yes, because he's popular, he's been there for a while, he's the son of a great man in the region, so people trust his whatever, but the people that he nominates from these regions are not popular, they're not kingpins, so that question alone is kind of
at the election where IBC is concerned. But selecting the person going to bear or to carry the flag of the party at that election where now we are going to vote the party, because there will be many other parties, but the party which is predominant in our region will plead with people that now vote for us, because they say, and let me quote in how they say it in our mother tongue, that they are going to assist Raila up there. Yeah, tunaenda kusaidia Raila kule juu. So even someone who cannot help Raila in anything up there, because I believe in parliament there are three things: legislation, representation, and oversight. And if you can't legislate, you can't oversight. How will you represent? So that is the main problem we have had. But all said and done, Raila's exit in our regional politics.
You guys are happy. Good point. If you can't legislate and you can't oversight, how good are you? That's a very good point by Honorable Ndiek.
Okay, personally,
especially you UDA people, you are happy because you feel that finally this ground is going to be level.
The ground, okay, we are happy.
This audiobook on Amazon has made me over $20,000, and I didn't even make it myself. I just
everyone is happy.
And let's also say that part of the reason why some of you are in UDA is because you feel that you are denied an opportunity in ODM.
Well, that is the truth. You see, in ODM, I don't maybe like meddling much into the affairs, because personally I left ODM and then I went to PDP. Governor Koto Bado was my party leader in PDP, and we did not succeed in capturing registration because the political parties were going back to registration. That's now on my personal ground. But I can tell you, many people are disgruntled, and that's why Raila has been losing. And even this election, Raila didn't lose because William Ruto stole the election as he claims. No. I'm telling you, Raila lost because of the disenfranchisement of people who decided then to go and vote for independent candidates and refused to vote for the party. And they refused even to vote for the president. Because if you look at the number of people who voted for the senator for Homa Bay versus the number of people who voted for Raila Odinga as president, there's a big difference. He lost so many votes. If the people who voted for senator voted for him, he would have not lost the 127,000 he lost in Homa Bay.
That's a very good. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. I've been arguing here like Raila did not Ruto kuiba kura. That was just a fallacy. Raila was trying to but rally up his supporters. But good point.
In Siaya, and then he lost 103,000 in Homa Bay, and he lost around 79,000 in Kisumu. And William Ruto generally defeated him with 200,000 votes, which he actually lost 300 and something in his own region. So that is because people look at the process you take, and then they believe that tumepangwa hapa na hatutapangwa. So that is what happens. So the politics that is going to come in our region now, one, there's going to be a level playing ground. That how people are always elected with how much you have praised Raila, for example. Maybe if you are not there to praise him 7 years, another one has praised him 7 years, the other one of 7 years gets it. Not because he's capable, or not he's supposed to be elected. So that is the politics of patronage which we are fighting. And then we are introducing UDA so that we live by the constitution, because we are the fighters of freedom in this country. We also fought for democracy in this country. And
I agree with you to that point. I don't think UDA is the alternative that will actually bring meaningful change to Kenya. So I know he's a member of UDA, so he has to, uza sera zake huko. But in reality, UDA is not the answer. So anyway.
We believe that we are supposed to be led by the rule of law, which allows democracy. And therefore, as Kennedy Ondiek, I'm supposed to have a space in our region and our village to talk about the party I want, because this is a nationally registered party, which is supposed to participate and take part in election in any part of the country, recruit members.
I agree. He has the democratic right to go to Nyanza province and uza sera zake as a UDA member, not to be threatened by Orengo saying that he needs to be anyone who's a UDA member should be beaten up. They go to Ninio. He should be allowed to go wherever in any part of Kenya and do this. And also ODM should be allowed to go in any part of the country and
and have offices everywhere. And if I go with UDA, someone also who has come with ODM, which is also a national party, is supposed to be given that same opportunity which I'm given. Like that's now what we are inculcating in our region. That you come to the funeral, for example, or you come to a fundraiser, talk about ODM. I stand up, I talk about UDA without skirmishes. The other time you had Orengo saying, a UDA person should not talk where I am. And when president comes to Homa Bay, he listens carefully to the UDA leader, who is the president, talking. So you wonder which UDA person is not supposed to talk where Orengo is. Yet the party leader of UDA talks and he listens carefully. It means it is local politics which they want to keep for ODM. And when the national leaders come, they want to accept.
Are you a politician?
I am.
Good. Now, when politicians speak, surely.
Yes.
At what point do we take it that the politician is just involving themselves in politics? And at what point then do we analyze and break down the conversation and analyze it as, is this really true? Is this really honest? Because tell me, where in this country do you have, I'm going back to the Kingpin story, where you don't find people being nominated and opposed, not even elected. Okay?
It has happened.
It happened. No, it happened. My point is that it happens in every region. That's really
a CT. Yes, it happened in every region. But should it be accepted as the modus operandi? No, it's undemocratic and we need to stop it. And that's what Kennedy is saying. We need to fight against that. So we just don't do things that, oh, this is how we always do things, so let's just accept it. While the process in which we are doing it is undemocratic. So CT again is being cheeky with his questions, but I wish, I hope Kennedy caught that.
Really my point. And my point is, if we look at the reality of our politics and why kingpins exist, it is because we will identify with somebody who comes from a region and speaks our language and we believe is like us. That's how we go about the business. Now, any leader who has been in a position of leadership for a long time, the one thing that is guaranteed, if there are disgruntlements, they will increase. And usually it's from people who probably at some point supported you. One. Yes. And usually people who probably even benefited from being in that political party. My question is, what is it that people see that turned them away from a party and the leadership that they once followed?
Okay.
I'll answer that before Ondiek goes. Again, the premise of the question is flawed. Again, Mr. City, these so-called people who get nominated, they are not popular. That's the whole point. That's why there's a lot of disgruntlement in the process of this undemocratic nomination. People become disgruntled when somebody who has been people's favorite is not voted in. We should, parade these people for wananchi to choose who they want to represent them. Not Raila Odinga going there and choosing somebody, nominating somebody just because that somebody is A, either his relative, or B, has given the party the most money, several millions, okay? So the point Ondiek was making is that these people who get nominated are not popular, and not only are they unpopular, they are grossly unqualified. Okay, that is the point he's making. So the assumption in City's question is okay. But anyway, let's listen to Mr. Ondiek's answer.
If I would answer you, our region people are turning away from ODM. And in fact, in summary, they're turning away from Raila because, in fact, Raila is ODM and ODM is Raila. They're turning away simply because long wait is also bad. One, we have struggled as a people to clinch a national office, the presidency, which we have tried, and our people have voted 99%. To a great extent, we were tired before 2023 elections, and many people thought Raila now would not run. But then he came back to people. And even myself, who had already gone to PDP, I can tell you, I voted for Raila Odinga in 2022. That's the truth. I didn't vote for William Ruto. I'm very honest. Because Raila came back with a new narrative and told us, this time I have the deep state and also the system. So that thing which has been taking our votes away now is under our control. So we decided to vote. And that's why William Ruto got a small number of votes, because Kenya, our people thought that this time to Tapata. So let my vote not be the one denying us. But then he still lost it.
Next time we hope you'll not be caught up in traffic. Join us again next time. Kennedy Ondiek is a UDA call.
Thank you very much. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, and comrades, please like the video, share, subscribe. On the second one, let's get to it as quick as possible. Now we want to talk about the BBI, the handshake, the shameless arguments made to justify this handshake. Let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, feel free, comment, share, like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And follow me on X too if you haven't followed me. You can see my handle there right below my name. So do not forget to do that. All right. All right. Let's go to the next one real quick as we move forward. There's the second one.
Of 2/3 gender. Finally, both sides have agreed on a way forward. When you have constituencies, when you represent people, it's difficult to carry everybody's view. And sometimes you get blamed for this or the other. But I am confident that you had the fortitude, the strength, and commitment to make sure that you did the right thing.
Our position is that the report, including the various legislative proposals attendant to it, should be implemented without alterations. There are things we agreed to disagree on, and that includes the issue of the cost of living, which is of much importance to us. The government side demanded that we leave that matter to them and agreed for purposes of helping the country to move.
I will move this forward a little bit so we can get to the topic. All right, let's get to it.
I think it was more than a year, a BBI report was presented to the country, informed constitutional amendment bill that was defeated at the Supreme Court. Mheshimiwa Cheng, is history repeating itself, or what are we dealing with here?
I was hoping you'll not start with me on that issue.
No, just start. It's got to start.
Okay. Sam,
yep.
When I joined Kenya Kwanza on the 26th of August, I said it won't be long before everyone else comes together in this whole thing called the big government thing. And that's what I'm laughing about. That, you have one country called Kenya. And this country called Kenya is a going concern, always. And so when I see our leaders speak together, though they come from different ideological orientations, I am happy. Because at the end of the day, elections should always not lead to acrimony. Elections shouldn't always lead to conflict.
Right.
After every election, we should be able to pick up the pieces, build one country together. As we look, if those who lose, look what the next elections and probably do better. And in between, we bring the best of our ideas and brains to make the country that's called Kenya a better place to live in. And that's why, personally, what has happened in the last, say, 1 year, leading up to formation of the NADCO team, the NADCO process through where we are now, for me, I think is laudable. It's something that I think we should be able to encourage all the time. I don't think that every time the president and the opposition speak or agree on issues, it's a handshake. I don't agree with that, description. And I don't believe there's been a handshake. We are trying to eke out a handshake where there's none. I think there's just an agreement on how to address a couple of matters that affect the nation today and in the near future. And I think it's something that we must commend both Honorable Raila Odinga and the president for agreeing to step back on some of the issues so that we...
I'll stop this nonsense right now, right there. there's nothing laudable about this so-called NADCO nonsense. This issue should have been taken care of in the parliament. We don't have to have one side of the political formation create a crisis, force the government into a negotiation, then come up with this animal called NADCO and force it down the throats of Kenyans. If you lose an election, you wait till the next cycle, electioneering year, and you try your luck again. You don't force the country into a crisis and negotiate for a position of AUC and a couple of political appointments, governmental appointments, trying to change the constitution just because you're not happy with the election results. This should be stopped. Enough is enough. So there's nothing laudable as this pinhead is trying to tell us.
Able to make 3-4 steps forward on issues that concern the country and that could make.
So what in your view is the most important progress that has been attained in the NADCO report?
One, the cessation of hostilities, as it were, that we are no longer talking about going to the streets, because you know what that does to the economy. You know what that does to the country. Mm-hmm. That those who go to the streets have very genuine grievances that has to be addressed.
They can freaking go to the streets. That doesn't mean we have to give in to their demands. If they want to go to the streets, they can go to the streets all year round. Okay? And if they want to drown the economy, so be it. But we can't keep on giving into these Azimio terrorists. That's why I argue I call these people terrorists. Azimio is a terrorist organization. Go look at the definition of a terrorist. A terrorist is somebody who terrorizes, uses violence and intimidation in order to what? To reach a political, achieve a political objective. Raila Odinga and his Azimio minions, sycophants, psychopathic followers, fanatical followers are terrorists. They lost the elections fair and square. Then they went to the streets and caused chaos, burning businesses, okay, beating up people, burning cars, in order to get on the table with the president to force what? Not the cost of living to go down, to force Kenyans into changing the constitution to accommodate them. Okay? And this terrorist now is going to run for AUC. And here is this pinhead telling us that, oh, we should be happy because Raila is going to AUC. It's good for Kenya. How about you fuck off? Okay, let's go to continue.
But because they go there because no one is listening to them. And so for me, the biggest achievement of the NADCO process has been getting guys off the streets to the table to discuss matters that they consider to be very serious.
They don't have to come to the table. There's a table in Kenya called the legislative body where if you have any grievances, you use your representatives and make your case. You can go to the streets as long as you do it peaceably.
To them. Mm-hmm. As to the content of the NADCO report, I think one of the sticking issues for a while was the IBC reconstitution, which I think is taken a long time, should have been done yesterday. And so if there's agreement in that regard that we're going to have a new IBC in the shortest time possible, I think that is a very good achievement. Number two is addressing the issues.
The process of reconstituting the IBC is well spelled out in the Constitution. The judge already pronounces themselves. The High Court has said it should be done immediately. We don't need to wait for Raila Odinga and his terrorist organization to force us to add 2 more people in to be voted in. We don't need the say of the opposition party. The Constitution doesn't say that the opposition party has to have a say in selecting the selection panel. And why should we change the Constitution? just for who? As mere terrorists to have a say in it. If you lost the election, you have the constitution is very clear.
That personally, and I must say this with a lot of foreboding, I don't agree with Kenyans' obsession with trying to reward, in quotes, number 2 in presidential elections, because elections have consequences.
Good point. You don't reward the person who lost. There's a reason why you lose the elections. The person who lost was rejected by the majority of Kenyans. It's a democracy, for crying out loud. There's a reason why we have a winner and a loser. A loser is somebody who was rejected by the population. We don't want that person to carry out our affairs. That's why we, the majority, chose who we chose. So if you're number 2, we don't have to reward you.
And this happens all over the world.
Right.
Americans go to elections, and for the time I've been an adult, there's no American president who has ever won an election with more than 50%, 50.1 or 50.2%. It's always 50.1, 51%. It's never been 52 for the time I've been an adult. But they go to an election, someone gets, 100 million votes, another one gets 99 million votes, and no one says that the guy who got 99 million votes.
There's an electoral college sort of.
No, there's a mix. Winner. It's a mix.
No, it has both.
It's a mix of both popular and electoral, yes.
College, yes.
Yeah, but even however slim the margins of wins have been, you don't see someone saying, we have to create positions for this kind of thing. And so, in my opinion, that wasn't urgent. And so I have issues that I think were urgent that need to be addressed, like I've told you, the IBC, the cost of living and all these kind of things. But, creation of position of office of opposition leader, when you already have a minority in parliament, for me, I think wasn't urgent and all these kind of things. But the rapprochement between the two people, for me, is the biggest takeaway from NADCO.
The what?
Okay, the coming together, the thawing of hostilities and the talking together between the two, Raila and President, for me.
Which you said you don't call a handshake.
No, it isn't.
Okay. What is a handshake?
Handshake is when someone extends their hand and you also extend yours. And your hands meet in a greeting. That's what a handshake is.
A political handshake is when you sit down and negotiate for positions. You come to an agreement where you come up and say, hey, listen, I'll support you to become the AUC chairperson, and you don't challenge me in 2027. Okay? That's a handshake. And by the way, not only that, you see my minions on this party, let's change the constitution so that my minions can actually join the government and have paid salaries, red carpets, and government fuel guzzlers that will be paid for by the taxpayers. That's a handshake.
Fred.
Yes.
So you went to the streets complaining about cost of living, among other issues, electoral justice, and more.
Yes.
Eugene Omala, who sat in the NADCO team, clearly says that he does not agree with the report. He will not sign it. He will not take any allowances. Raila Odinga says that actually the government asked for time to deal with the cost of living by themselves, and he's now promising that he's going to make sure that he follows up on how they do it. Those that went to the streets might say that they went on a cause that has not yielded any results, because there is really no outcome from the NADCO team that has impacted on cost of living.
It's important to know where we have come from and why this report is necessary. If you recall, on Friday, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, the majority leader, admitted that that was the first time he's actually stepping at Capitol Hill Square and addressing the public on that podium written R. And
this dickhead doesn't know what he's talking about. So what is it having a press conference with a place called written R?
He never thought that that would happen because of the hostilities that Honorable Ocheng is talking about.
Hostilities caused by who? Who caused the hostilities? Once the election was announced that William Ruto won, the issue, Raila Odinga and this minion went to the courts to see if there was, because they say that the election was rigged or whatever the case is. The courts, which is the arm of government that deal with disputes, they examined the evidence, looked at it and say these guys were full of shit. And they upheld the victory by the IBC of William Ruto. The country was in peace 5 months after that ruling. Then Raila and these terrorists came up, had a press conference and told us that they want something akin to the Kofi Annan Accord, which is basically BBI, Government of National Unity, aka NADCO. So don't tell us about the skirmishes or the atrocities or the whatever the case he wants to make it seem like.
And if you recall again, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition, in its interim measures, and by the way, it's only Azimio that had interim measures. Kenya Kwanza didn't have any. We talked of cessation of hostilities. We talked of addressing the cost of living on the interim measure.
The hostilities were caused by Azimio. You cause a problem that then you come up with your freaking interim bullshit.
Talked of so many things, even compensation of those who are killed brutally.
What about the compensation of the people who were killed in 2017? Did you ever have taken care of that?
I mean, in the police brutality issues. Today, we have a report that we acknowledge, all of us, that is a work in progress, might not be perfect, but a good start. In Azimio, we have democracy. There are people in Azimio who believe that we could have done better. There are people who believe that it's a good start. Luckily, majority believe that it is a good start. Let me tell you, the issues of...
Which majority? Majority by who? The people or your party? NADCO is a document proposal by two-party coalition, not by Kenyans. The 50 million plus Kenyans don't all belong to Azimio and Kenya Kwanza.
Of concern to the people that we rest. Cost of living was number one. However, in the framework agreement, the report says that we shall also agree to disagree. We agreed to disagree on the issue of cost of living. If you recall, Azimio wanted that Kenya Kwanza must first of all relook at the Finance Act that came with so many taxations. Kenya Kwanza refused. They said, no, we have a better way upon advice.
Again, your main issue was never the Finance Act. Your main issue was never cost of living. Your main issue 5 months after the Supreme Court had pronounced itself, calling your evidence hot air, you went and held a press conference, and Okango, you were part of that press conference along with Raila Odinga and Opiyo Wandayi and Martha Karua and Wamalwa, and you talked about how you wanted something akin to the Kofi Annan Accord. And none of that in that press conference mentioned anything to do with what? The high cost of living or the Finance Act. So stop pretending. You flat-footed pretender.
From the CS Treasury. Azimio said, let us look at the issues of affordable housing levy. Kenya Kwanza said, no, this is an important issue to us because it is in our manifesto. And therefore, at that point, we agreed to disagree. But on the issues of electoral justice and related matters, we all agree that we must reconstitute and restructure IEBC. And
the issue of electoral justice was dealt with at the Supreme Court. That is the constitutional arm of government institution that is tasked with taking care of disputes. there's no electoral injustice per se. You had no evidence that there was foul play during the electoral process. So what electoral justice are you seeking?
The reason why this is important to the people is because if the selection panel is put in place,
the law is very clear. The selection panel is to be chosen by the president. That's what our constitution says. That is not. It doesn't say that Okango, along with ODM and Azimio terrorists, should be involved in the selection, in choosing the selection panel.
They will have some deadline, 90 days, to complete this process, forward the names of the president for appointment. Number two, on the issue of audit of the presidential election, again, the two teams agreed that within 21 days upon adoption of the report, they shall select.
Smokey Wanjala asked you, Dimwits, hey, can you tell us which server do you think that is holding information that may contradict what Mr. The IBC chairman Chebukati had announced at Bomas? Can you mention any server? Is there any polling station that you think there was monkey business happening? Do you have any agent that can come here and dispute the results at any polling station? And you fucktards could not come up with any. So what are you talking about, Okango?
Elect a panel from both sides, 3-3. And if they agree is a joint firm, audit firm, or separate firms to work on that and give a report, not to question the elections, but to ensure that in going forward, IEBC conduct their...
So now you're not questioning the election, so you want it to be audited and write a report after report. What's the point of it then?
Work in a transparent manner, accountable manner, and efficient manner. Number three, we also agreed that on issue of political party democracy and fidelity, there is a way that we can actually have instruments of legislation in place to ensure that when you are elected on a party...
There's Political Parties Act. It spells out all this nonsense that you're actually raising, you dumb fuck.
Then you become disciplined and you are there to the ideology, rules, regulation, and the constitution so that you don't party hope, and that will promote democracy. So if you ask me, this report is very important to the people of Kenya. When we say that there are people in Azimio...
No, this report is important to you, Azimio terrorists, who want to create positions for yourselves. You've used this intimidation and violence in order to force Kenyans to vote for something that will create positions for you and your buddies. Raila Odinga already has his position. He has gotten the president and his minions to help him get that position of AUC. Now you want to shove this through the parliament so you, Okango, and your minions get positions. That's why you are terrorizing Kenyans through those mandamanos.
That do not believe that it was a work, I mean, it was the best thing. Yeah. For example, Honorable Juno Amala wrote a letter to the clerk and the speakers that he will not be taking any allowances because his conscience does not allow him. And he also said that we ought to have done better. But if you listen to him in this interview, he also acknowledged that we have made progress. We have made progress on 4 issues that we all agreed with the people of Kenya and the two parties. So those issues we want to make move forward. But the issue that is pending I agree that maybe on the cost of living more, because as it is today, people are still complaining about cost of living, taxation is still very high, and much more is needed to be done.
How much are the allowances?
I'm not aware about that. I'm not aware about that. I'm not even aware if they have been paid, but I know there was a budget that was presented by the NADCO committee to the speakers and the clerk, and that money was supposed to be paid. I'm not aware about.
How much was the budget?
What I saw was about 100 million.
100 million shillings.
Yes.
100 million shillings, which was illegal, by the way. That thing was illegal.
So that's what it's costing the taxpayer.
That is what was proposed. But I'm also reminded by the team that it was revised to a lower figure.
Which is?
I'm not sure about the figure, but it was revised to a lower figure because there were issues around it. Some of the meetings were scaled down, and they needed to work within a shoestring budget.
Right. Senator, so yes, he says that Kimani Ichung'wah was quite pleased to be addressing the country from the podium at Capitol Hill. And of course, this is a stark difference from what we've witnessed before. But what are constituents in your county saying? Because once upon a time, there was discomfort in the coming together of President Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, and now there appears to be a bit of, really, if you're to also talk about the campaign for Raila Odinga to go to the African Union Commission as a chairperson there. What are people saying in your county and region?
Thank you, Sam. First of all, I want to say that this report is one of the best things that have happened to this country in the recent past. Because like
this man is a proper idiot, but let's listen to this idiot.
Mheshimiwa Cheng said, there is a cessation of hostilities. Some I think, before I come to what our people are saying back there, I think the drafters of the Constitution, 2010 Constitution, I think they made one mistake. Compared to the old constitution. The mistake, and that is, what I mean is that when you vie for the presidency, whether whatever percentage of votes you garner, that if you lose, you simply go home. Because under the old constitution, at least the presidential candidates were also parliamentary candidates. And under the old,
it was a parliamentary system where the loser of the election, actually, the loser of the election becomes the head of the opposition, because by default they are the second, whatever, depending on how many MPs they have. Now this constitution is actually a mixture of parliamentary and purely presidential. Okay. So this idiot doesn't know what he's talking about. Let's listen in. It's if we are listening it for shits and giggles. Let's go on.
But at least you remain in parliament as a member. And of course, we had the office of the leader of official opposition then. So this is something, in my view, that has been causing a lot of discomfort to people. Because looking at the presidential elections of 2022, for example, the difference between His Excellency the President and the runner-up, that is the Honorable Raila Odinga, was 200,000 votes. So it means basically Raila and Azimio, of course, had almost half of the country behind them. And then you say that this is, of course, he's the one that leads the opposition, or the minority, for that matter, but has no office, has no secretariat, has not. How actually is he supposed to run? How is he supposed to oversight government? How is he supposed to critique government? And so I think the creation of the office of the leader of official position, for me.
So you have to create an office in order for him to be able to criticize the government. Oh, this guy is he's special. He's special. Let's continue here listening.
Is very important because it will facilitate the activities. Because Kenya Kwanza government and the president, none other than His Excellency the President, has said that Kenya Kwanza government is okay. They are okay with the minority or the opposition critiquing it. But without that facilitation, it becomes very hard. And so I think that is a very...
Wait a minute. So the work of Raila Odinga is to oversight William Ruto?
Not exactly oversight William Ruto, but this is somebody leading the opposition in the houses, but has no office.
How so?
Sorry?
How does he lead the opposition in the house?
No, what I'm saying is, basically, they are him and his co-principals and Azimio. Of course, are the ones that give direction to about the party position. You know, in parliament, we have what we call party position, and they're the ones that give direction. But they do not have, or the leader of official position, we do not have that office. So it's an amorphous.
Wait, is that how it works? That you get directions from the coalition leaders on what?
Not exactly directions. Maybe that should not be the one. But I mean, we have PGs for the government.
I told you this man is special. Just...
Of course, they have their parliamentary groups also, and these, of course, are chaired, if I'm not wrong, by the leaders of Azimio. And so that is where party
that's what I'm asking. So, if you're Senator, if you have a parliamentary group meeting,
yes,
is it a meeting of parliamentarians to discuss on the position of that group, or it's an opportunity for the party leader to instruct them on what he wants?
It is exactly not an instruction that happens. But then, of course, you discuss the party position, you discuss, I mean, the way the party wants to go. These are the party leaders.
But you can do that without the party leader then?
Having a what?
The parliamentary group can actually decide on what to do in the House without...
It can, parliamentary group. But a parliamentary group of which party? Who are the party leaders? I mean, how do you have a parliamentary group?
You know, what I'm asking is because the Constitution gives the role of oversight to Parliament.
Correct.
Why would you assign it?
That is right. What I'm saying is...
Sorry. Why would you assign it?
I was just...
Sorry, Senator.
Okay.
Why would you assign the role of oversight to the first runners-up, I mean, the runners-up to an election?
I think what I did and you may have to appreciate this, I was comparing the new constitution to the old constitution. And I was saying, if we have an office as proposed...
Why are you comparing the old constitution while we have a new constitution? We should make your argument based on the present context.
This report of the leader of official opposition. Then this leader will be able to lead his troops in parliament.
Okay, it's been an hour. I'm not going past this nonsense. I mean, it's a good discussion, but I will stop there. I don't want to make it more than an hour, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and enemies, and comrades. This is Kenya Revolutionary. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do not waste any time. Listen to this while you're sitting somewhere. If you're working or you're sitting in your bed and you're listening to these arguments, it's a good discussion. You can go check it out. The rest of the discussion is in Citizen TV on the YouTube channel or whatever the case is. I just wanted to talk about briefly. It's a long 50-minute whatever but I will stop here. I usually try to keep it within an hour. I don't want to go past this. But again, ladies and gentlemen, in case you haven't subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe. Share, like, and comment. If you're going to watch this on repeat, please do the same. I'm here, Kenya Revolutionary. I will talk to you guys later. I know it's Saturday. You guys have things to do, so I will see you guys later. So peace and blessings, and I'll see you guys sooner rather than later. Bye.